Ancient strategy, modern sales, one usable line per episode.
Last time, separate price from pressure. Today, how to respond without defending. What happens when someone challenges you, and why the worst thing you can do is fight back. Let me set the scene. I'm in a meeting with a VP. Things are going well. Then she says, "I've heard mixed reviews about your platform. One of my peers had a rough implementation." The room goes quiet. Everyone looks at me. I can feel the heat rising.
What did you do?
I defended. "Well, that was an older version. We've improved significantly. Our latest customer satisfaction scores are 93%. Let me show you some case studies." I talked for 5 minutes. By the end of this episode, you'll know why defending makes things worse, and the one move that turns a challenge into an advantage. My old belief: challenges require defense. If someone questions your product, your credibility, your company, you have to respond with evidence. Match their concern with facts. The stronger your defense, the more credible you become.
Sounds logical.
It sounds logical, but watch what actually happened. The more I defended, the more skeptical the VP became. She asked another tough question. I defended again. More data, more case studies. By the end, I delivered a 15-minute monologue about how great we are. She thanked me politely, never returned my call.
Because you were solving the wrong problem.
The wrong problem?
Her challenge wasn't a request for evidence. It was a test. She wanted to see how you react under pressure. Do you get flustered? Do you get defensive? Do you try to overwhelm with data? Or do you stay calm and stay curious? Your defense answered the question, and she didn't like the answer. Sun Tzu warned about this exact pattern. In the chapter on variation in tactics, he wrote about the 5 dangerous faults of a general. Fen Su Ki Wu Yi, one who has a hasty temper can be provoked. A general who reacts impulsively to provocation can be manipulated. The enemy doesn't need to be stronger, they just need to trigger a reaction.
So the provocation is the weapon.
The reaction is the defeat. Sun Tzu's point is devastating in its simplicity. If the enemy can predict your reaction, they control you. A general who defends every insult, responds to every provocation, chases every feint, that general is being led, not leading. Hold that.
So when the VP challenged me, she wasn't attacking, she was testing, and my defense was the wrong answer.
Your defense told her 3 things. You're reactive, you're insecure about the criticism, and you'll prioritize being right over being useful. None of those are qualities she wants in a partner. She wants someone who stays steady when things get uncomfortable.
That's a painful reframe. I thought I was being thorough. She thought I was being defensive.
Intention and perception. You intended confidence. She perceived insecurity. Because confident people don't need 5 minutes to prove they're good. Confident people ask questions. Let's look at what defending actually costs.
What happens when I defend against a challenge?
3 things, and each one weakens your position. First, you validate the attack. The moment you defend, you signal that the challenge was worth defending against. If someone says, "I've heard mixed reviews," and you launch into evidence, you've confirmed that mixed reviews are a legitimate concern. You've amplified the very thing you wanted to diminish.
Second,
you surrender the frame. Before the challenge, you were leading the conversation. You were the expert, the advisor, the guide. The moment you defend, the challenger holds the frame. They asked, you answered. They're now the judge, and you're the defendant. That power dynamic is nearly impossible to reverse in the same meeting.
And third,
you exhaust your credibility on the wrong battle. Every word you spend defending is a word you can't spend advancing. The VP didn't need case studies. She needed to feel safe. Your 15 minutes of evidence used up a tension that could have built trust, explored her actual concerns, and moved the deal forward.
So the pattern is, I get challenged. I feel threatened. I defend with evidence. The challenger sees insecurity. My frame collapses. I exhaust my credibility on a battle that shouldn't have been fought.
And the real concern, the one underneath the challenge, never gets addressed.
Because I was so busy defending that I never asked what it was.
Now, the alternative.
What do I do instead of defending?
One thing, when someone challenges you, in a meeting, on a call, in an email, don't defend. Don't explain. Don't justify. Do this instead. Ask one question.
One question.
Don't defend. Ask one question.
What kind of question?
A curious one. When the VP said, "I've heard mixed reviews," instead of defending, you say, "That's worth exploring." What specifically did you hear? 7 words. No defense. No data. Pure curiosity. Watch what happens.
What happens?
3 things, all good. First, the challenger has to think. They can't just throw a grenade and watch you scramble. They have to specify. Often, when forced to specify, the challenge shrinks. Well, I heard one person had a tough onboarding. That's a very different conversation than mixed reviews.
Second,
you maintain the frame. You're still the curious professional. You're not rattled. You're not defending. You're interested. That display of composure is more convincing than any case study. The room sees someone who is steady under pressure. That's the person they want to work with.
And third,
you discover the real concern. The challenge is almost never the real concern. It's the surface. Underneath, mixed reviews might be, "My boss is risk averse," or "We got burned by another vendor," or "I need ammunition to justify this to procurement." One question takes you from the surface to the substance. Second tool. After asking the curious question and hearing their response, use this. "Thank you for sharing that. What would make you feel confident we won't repeat that pattern?"
You've moved from understanding the concern to solving it.
Without ever defending, you went from challenge to curiosity to solution, and the prospect led you there. They feel heard. They feel respected. They feel like they're working with someone who handles pressure with grace.
And the third tool.
When the challenge is about you personally, your credibility, your experience, your competence, the question is even simpler. What would be most useful for me to show you?
You're letting them define what would satisfy them.
Instead of guessing what evidence they need and flooding them with data. They tell you the one thing that matters. You provide it. Clean, efficient, confident. 3 tools. Don't defend. Ask one question. What would make you feel confident? What would be most useful to show you?
Let's lock them in. Here's my takeaway. Defending is a trap. It validates the attack, surrenders the frame, and exhausts credibility on the wrong battle. The instinct to defend feels right, but it signals insecurity. What looks like strength is actually a reveal.
Keep going.
Sun Tzu said a hasty temper can be provoked and exploited. A general who reacts to every provocation is being led. In sales, the prospect's challenge is the provocation. Your defense is the defeat. Don't react. Get curious. The principle, don't defend. Ask one question. One curious question does more than 15 minutes of evidence.
Drill zone. Come back here before your next meeting where you might get challenged. A senior stakeholder says, "I've heard your onboarding is difficult." Your face flushes. Your mind races to the data. What do you do instead?
Don't defend. Ask one question.
Again, like you believe curiosity is stronger than evidence.
Don't defend. Ask one question.
Good. The question.
That's worth exploring. What specifically did you hear?
And the resolution move.
What would make you feel confident we won't repeat that pattern?
The sequence. Challenge arrives. Reset. Don't defend. Ask one question. Explore. What specifically did you hear? Resolve. What would make you feel confident? Stay curious. Stay calm. Let the challenge shrink.
Reset. Explore. Resolve.
This week's test. In your next meeting, when any challenge comes, bite your tongue. Don't defend. Ask one curious question that's worth exploring. What specifically concerns you?
And if the challenge is aggressive?
Especially then, the more aggressive the challenge, the more powerful the calm question. Aggression expects a fight. When you respond with genuine curiosity, the aggressor has nowhere to go. You've taken away the battle they were prepared for. That's Sun Tzu's principle in action.
Which tool should I try first?
Whichever matches your week. A. Don't defend. Ask one question. B. What would make you feel confident? Or C. What would be most useful for me to show you? Drop your pick in the comments. I read every one.
Can we hear those one more time?
A. Don't defend. Ask one question. B. What would make you feel confident? C. What would be most useful for me to show you?
What's next?
When to pause instead of answering. When the smart move is to say nothing at all and let the silence do the work. Same calm tone. One usable line.
Ancient strategy, modern sales, one usable line per episode.